Hi everyone, Cody Hollyfield here from Mermaids and Martians of Mermaids and Martians Acclaim, and it's time for a review of the new Celeste album, Not Your Muse. Celeste is a singer-songwriter from the UK, and this is her debut studio album. She's been getting some traction lately with this one, and I understand why, because she is obviously a very talented singer. She has a very rich and velvety voice. Listening to her, there is an obvious influence from people like Adele and Amy Winehouse. And God, I really wanted to like this album because she is such a great singer, but unfortunately this album kind of falls flat more often than not. I think that her vocal performances are actually pretty good for the most part, and her lyrics are pretty decent, but the worst part about this album is the boring production, like on the track Tell Me Something I Don't Know or the track Strange, which on that track especially, like, her vocal performance really deserves a better instrumental to go behind it. And the predictable and bland vocal melodies. I think that this is most egregious on a track like A Kiss, which feels like the choruses are honestly just copied and pasted really awkwardly. There isn't really much to the instrumental, it's just a one-dimensional song at the end of the day. It really hurts that this album is so boring, because the opening track I think is actually really good. I think the vocal melodies have a pop appeal and are easy to understand and digest, but they aren't bland, they aren't boring, and her songwriting on this one is actually kind of on point. She discusses the unfair expectations that people place on her, and how she may not fit everyone's idea of an ideal woman, but she's her own person and she doesn't really care what you think. But after this, the album sort of takes a tumble and begins to snowball into mediocrity. Tonight Tonight is a malformed attempt at a dance track. It has pretty interesting vocal melodies in the verses, but for whatever reason, for something that's meant to be the hook, for something that's meant to be the standout part of the track, the thing that's supposed to be the catchiest part of the track, the chorus is just kind of meh. And the mix on this thing is a little muddy too. I wish the horn lines that are featured in the instrumental had a lot more presence on this thing, because they are just dying to be bombastic, but they are barely there. You can barely even hear them. I'm surprised that I even picked them up, but they are just dying to be loud. I really wish that they were just there. Personally, I get a lot more enjoyment out of the next track, Stop This Flame. I like the production a lot more on this one. The circular piano riff is actually really fun, and I think the other elements in the instrumental do a good job in building upon it and meshing with it. But other than that, I don't think that a lot of the songs are all that memorable. Sure, they're not aggressively horrible, but they're just okay. Love Is Back is so close to being actually really good. Compared to a lot of the other tracks on the track list, the mix of this track is actually really good. The horns are much more enveloping and present, and they ring out very nice too. The drums are nice and crisp. I think the guitar tones are a little too clean, but overall, this is really just a very rich mix. It is her songwriting here that underwhelms me though, and her vocal performance too, because at parts of the song, she's belting out notes with such passion, but other times, especially on the choruses, she sounds like she's about to fall asleep. And the number of tracks that just straight up sound like they would be in a Kohl's advertisement or a JCPenney advertisement, even more so than the actual song that is featured in an advertisement. Why she would put that song on her track list, I don't know. It's not a very strong song. Overall, I can't say that there is all that much interesting about this album. Every song just kind of blurs into the next. And it's unfortunate, because I think that Celeste has so much potential. I think if she hopped on to some more interesting production, wrote more interesting vocal melodies, she could make something truly great. But for whatever reason, that potential is just squandered, and we're left with an album that is kind of mind-numbing at the end of the day. I think there are some pretty sounds here and there, but none of it really sticks with you. At least it didn't really with me. And for that reason, I'm going to be giving it a light to decent 5. What'd you think of the new Celeste album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you even listen to it? If you haven't listened to it, put a link in the description below so that you can. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all all have a good one.